I'm at home and I just got done reading Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing? And as a single woman living alone in her 30s, I have thoughts.
For British Vogue, I wrote this piece, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now? I know people are reading the headline, they're like, nah, nah, nah. But listen, for this piece, I interviewed a bunch of women. I spoke to them about why they hide their partners on social media or they like post very inconspicuously about them. You know, some people said it was about privacy.
So apparently everybody's talking about this Vogue article that just came out saying that it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. Welcome to the party. We've been waiting for you. Your fashion will be late, and that's probably okay.
Women today have discovered a new trend, being ashamed of their own boyfriends. But here's what nobody wants to admit. Behind all this talk about absolute independence, there's loneliness, fear, and a frustration they'll never post on Instagram.
I'm at home and I just got done reading Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing? And as a single woman living alone in her 30s, I have thoughts. First of all, I felt like for a long time when I would be in social settings and I would say like, yeah, I'm 33 and I'm single, I would always get these like sad puppy eyes, like poor her, she doesn't have a boyfriend. So I'm so excited that society is finally switching the narrative. And the reason why I'm so excited is not because I think having a boyfriend is embarrassing. I don't think that at all. In fact, I think in a world filled with hate, seeing love is actually refreshing and a beautiful thing every once in a while. But I think it's so exciting because women are finally waking up to the idea that having a boyfriend is basically the least interesting thing about you. Someone who is a great example of this statement is actually Aaliyah's face. That girl has a boyfriend and you will never know. In fact, sometimes I freaking forget because homegirl has so many things going on that her boyfriend is like the last important thing, the least important thing about her, the least interesting thing about her. She is going to Pilates, she's practicing her Spanish, she's running marathons, she's hanging out with her friends, she's taking solo dates, she's traveling somewhere. That girl has so much going on that her boyfriend is not a pedestal, and therefore it's not embarrassing for her to have a boyfriend, if that makes sense. Having a boyfriend isn't embarrassing, it's boring, and it should be. It should be for each and every woman. Having a boyfriend should be the least interesting, most boring, most yawning thing about you. And if it is, you're in the right relationship. Where single women come into play when it comes to this article is that I hope that we are finally going to be looked at with eyes of excitement and not eyes of like pity and sadness when we say that we are single, because the reality is single women are interesting. We are so interesting. We're filled with happiness, with joy. We are filled with hobbies and goals and everything in between. And I believe we can learn so much from single women or women decentering men in general. Where this article scares me is when I think of all the single women out there who have been single for years and have done all the solo dates and the traveling and everything, have hit all the goals and want love, because I'm one of those women. I've been single for over 2 years and I'm not afraid to say my name is Celeste and I want someone to share my life with. But that's the thing, is that at my age, I don't want a boyfriend, I want a partner. And I don't think women should be shamed for wanting that, because it's a perfectly normal thing to want. It's perfectly okay to want to share a life with someone, a partner, a husband. A boyfriend to me at this age feels more temporary, so that's why I say like boyfriend or husband. But that also doesn't mean that that woman or me should be disregarded, because there's still plenty of other amazing things about women who are out here dating and want love. It's just a bonus. Love is just a bonus. A boyfriend, a partner, it's all just a bonus, but it's not everything. And so shout out to the writer. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And that's all I got to say. Bye.
Celeste tries to turn loneliness into a virtue. She talks as if being interesting can replace what has always been part of human life: building a family, creating roots, investing in someone. She decorates her routine with Pilates, trips, and hobbies to prove she doesn't need a man. But in the end, she admits the obvious. She wants partnership, she wants love, she wants a husband. Her whole narrative is just a way to hide that independence became heavier than she expected. From a traditional perspective, the contradiction is clear. She says having a boyfriend should be the most boring part of a woman, yet that's exactly what she wants. What really hurts her isn't the pity look. It's realizing the years passed while she invested in a lifestyle that didn't deliver what it promised: emotional stability, partnership, and a sense of purpose only a mature relationship provides.
for British Vogue, I wrote, "This piece is having a boyfriend embarrassing now." I know people are reading the headline, they're like, nah, nah, nah. But listen, for this piece, I interviewed a bunch of women. I spoke to them about why they hide their partners on social media, or they like post very inconspicuously about them. You know, some people said it was about privacy and this sort of unique, special privacy that you only afford your romantic partner. A lot of people spoke about the evil eye and this idea that, oh, if I post my partner, then people who are jealous of me will somehow, through their terrible vibes, ruin my relationship. Some people said that they felt as if they were scared to post because what happens when someone comes to them as a woman, or what happens when they break up and they have to, you know, delete all the posts. And there's this whole feeling of like shame of having tried and failed to find love. And then there was a really interesting point that came across both people in relationships and single people. And this idea that like being in a relationship with a man and showcasing it to the world in and of itself was an embarrassing thing to do. And that's what I really wanted to get into. There was this idea of there not being a solidarity with other women. There was this idea of like a relationship just by default being something that rendered you quite uncool. I spoke about this podcast I came across where they were talking about, is it lame to have a boyfriend? And they say, you know, when I meet a girl and she has a boyfriend, I automatically just kind of put her in a box or in a category, and I just don't feel as inspired or engaged by her. And then when someone doesn't, I feel like they have so much life and prospect and they are just entertaining and fun, and I kind of feel empowered by their individualism. But interestingly, the girls talking about this on the podcast, agreeing with this idea that like girls without boyfriends are cool, are also in relationships themselves. And so I was thinking so much about how it is very uncool to be a boyfriend girl. It is very uncool to be a my man person. And I spoke to both just people who are on social, but also content creators and influencers about what happens when they post their partners, right? A lot of them lose a lot of followers, especially if they were already single. And this idea that now you are someone's girlfriend and you're posting about this is something that people automatically disengage from. I do it too. If I follow someone because they, I don't know, post their outfits and all of a sudden it's their boyfriend every day, I'm just like mute. I came here for a reason. But this is happening like across the board, and like just culturally, I think a lot of like the days of a man being a prize has really changed. It's really, really, really changed. And obviously this has come from like just the empowerment of single women in general, but also just how the trajectory of men and women are going in completely opposite directions. And now we're having to look at heterosexuality with the political lens that we've looked at other sexualities. And we really have to evaluate, if we are a part of this thing, what does it mean? And so it's a really interesting piece. I think people should go and read it and should go and check it out. And I've also found the backlash to it. You know, I think a lot of women in relationships will say, well, you know, I hate all men apart from my man. He is a feminist and he is a this and he is a that, and I shouldn't feel embarrassed and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, I think we have to be honest with ourselves. If people want to scream like, men are trash, I hate all men, men are trash, I hate all men, and then you shack up with a man and you're like, but not my man though, and someone says that's embarrassing, this is the culture that we've created and we've fostered, right? And so I think a lot of people want to have their pie and eat it too. When there's nothing wrong with that, but I just think as we become a lot more critical of heterosexuality, I just think you can't sit comfortably in that anymore, which I personally think is a good thing, because it means that we are like deepening heterosexuality. We're thinking so much more critically about what it is we're engaging in, and we're being conscious about our choices, which I think is important. But yeah, go and read the piece. Sorry to drone on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Shout out to everyone that made it to the end of this video.
The second woman speaks like someone trying to turn personal insecurities into sophisticated social theory. She describes women hiding their partners out of fear of embarrassment, breakups, comparison, jealousy, bad luck. But at the core, it all points to one thing. Many are afraid to openly show their relationships because they preach one thing and live another. They bash men, claim they don't need anyone, yet date in secret. That's not empowerment, it's inconsistency. From a traditional standpoint, this exposes a modern identity crisis. Women want a man's stability, but also want the public image of the cool, independent woman. They want loyalty, but also want to look like they're completely free. They want the reputation of someone who doesn't depend on a man, but privately have one. She tries to intellectualize all this, but the truth is simple. If you're ashamed to show the man you chose, maybe the problem isn't the man. It's the illusion you're trying to keep alive.
So apparently everybody's talking about this Vogue article that just came out, saying that it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. Welcome to the party. We've been waiting for you. Your fashion will be late, and that's probably okay. But listen, especially after the things that I've been through, if I am paying my own rent, building my own business, raising a child on my own, paying everything for him, healing my own inner child and my outer skin barrier, by the way, thank you very much. Please tell me again why I need you, Chad. Chad can't even schedule his own dentist appointment without the help of his mother. So if the man in question isn't adding value to your life, girl, he is just subtracting. Okay? I just want a girlfriend. Aw, you want a girlfriend like you want a PlayStation though, because it's fun and shiny and does what you want when you press all the right buttons. No. Relationships aren't Build-A-Bear. You don't get to order emotional support with the side of submissive while bringing nothing to the table but that disgusting Axe body spray and delusion. This isn't 2005. Women are the prize now. We're not just winning, we're the game. Okay? Oh, you're intimidated because a woman doesn't need you right now? Maybe that's because you haven't figured out how to be needed. Protection, provision, purpose. That's what we're looking for. Not passive, broke, emotionally constipated. We are in the age of Aquarius, honey. Goddesses only. And if you're not a king, you're getting cut out from the cast. Nobody wants you. Raise your standards or raise cats. Though they're nice too.
Here, the tone shifts. Arrogance, resentment, and generalization. This woman doesn't want a partner. She wants a pedestal. She reduces men to incompetent children, demands every man be a provider, wise, mature, perfect, while she herself speaks with bitterness and defensiveness. She claims women are the prize, yet says this while raising a child alone and listing responsibilities that traditionally would be shared with a man if the relationship had been chosen wisely. From a traditional view, this mindset is dangerous because it turns relationships into transactions instead of unions. She wants protection, provision, and purpose, but what does she offer besides hostility? A family isn't built against a man, but beside one. And when a woman insists she doesn't need anyone, it's usually because she chose poorly, got hurt, and now inflates her own importance to avoid facing her own decisions.
Having a boyfriend is embarrassing if you chose the wrong partner. And this is coming from somebody who is literally coming up on their 5-year anniversary with their partner next week. This conversation is literally not about hating men. It's about accountability. It's about realizing that the man is not the prize. This also isn't about women realizing that we're self-sufficient. Like, we've always had that power. It's just not settling or trading that for proximity and companionship, again, with a man. I always tell my friends and family that I am a girl with a boyfriend. I am not a girlfriend. Because I am a whole individual with my own life, my own friends, my own hobbies, my own experiences. And so does my boyfriend. We are two whole individuals who are coming together because we add value into each other's lives. I am fully self-sufficient. I do not need a man in any aspect. I can solely provide for myself. So I run a strict program, and I knew before getting into a relationship, if you did not add an immense amount of value and peace and prosperity to my life, I wasn't going to be in a relationship. If your boyfriend is not making things lighter and making them heavier, you shouldn't be in a relationship. And I feel like that's where people are kind of missing the mark. They're like, I don't know what Vogue's talking about. Like, I'm happy here, yada, yada, yada. Just like, if your boyfriend is a good boyfriend, he's a good boyfriend. But what we're not going to do is settle for the bare minimum out of the sake of having a boyfriend. Because again, it's not anything to be put on a pedestal now. And we all know people who are in relationships who just settle for the bare minimum because they don't want to be alone, or, oh, that's just how guys are. And it's just like, that's not the case. My world does not revolve around him. It's aligned with him. So yeah, having a boyfriend can be embarrassing, especially when they diminish you, deplete your value, and contribute nothing to your life. All I'm saying is you can coexist with individuality, but only when both parties are adding value.
She tries to be the reasonable voice, but falls into the same logic. I'm whole, I don't need a man. He doesn't complete me. I have my own life. It sounds nice, but it's just modern culture's fear of vulnerability and interdependence. Healthy relationships aren't two isolated individuals simply coexisting. They're two people building something together, influencing each other, creating a life neither could build alone. From a traditional perspective, she's right about one thing. You shouldn't tolerate weak, useless, or lazy men, but she pushes independence so far that she turns her boyfriend into an accessory. Valuable when he adds something, disposable when he doesn't. That's not partnership. That's a contract. Real relationships require involvement and interdependence, not this obsession with never needing anyone. People who are terrified of depending on someone are also terrified of loving someone.